are quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning. It's for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dropped Culture Podcast. This is that podcast where we pick up that piece of pop culture you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, and cram it in your ear holes. I'm Dan.
I'm Brock.
And today, Brock, we're bringing you a little movie from almost 30 years ago? 40 years ago? 40? 40 is the answer?
40 fucking years.
I know.
Holy
1984's Repo Man.
It's so crazy. The more that I look back and things are telling me how old I am now, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I don't believe this shit.
Right. Maybe I am that old.
Yeah.
Because 84, I was 5. So, Repo Man, Alex Cox. Fucking Alex Cox has made some of the... I mean, he was a punk historian pretty much. Kind of like the decline of Western civilization shit, you know.
Sure.
The whole SoCal...
Sid and Nancy.
Sid and Nancy. If you ever want to be depressed and fucking lose track of time, like literally get stuck in a time warp, watch that movie because at the very end when they're in the hotel, it takes like fucking 2 days to get through that shit. And then you're like, I feel dirty.
Well, and he stays in that vein. Like, obviously, you know, this is a very punk movie, very LA punk. And then Sid and Nancy, obviously based on punk rockers.
Right.
He also rewrote or worked on the screenplay for Fear and Loathing with Terry Gilliam.
Right.
So, I mean, he really stayed in that vein, you know. It's not like he went out in the world and tried something new.
No.
But he did what he did. He did very well.
Even after this one, he did Straight to Hell.
I don't think I've seen that.
I've only seen it once because it was on Tubi not too long ago. It's got Joe Strummer in it. It's got Light from this movie. And basically it's like a whole bunch of punk rock dudes that are in it. And they're in somewhere in Spain. And it's like a spaghetti western, but more like Pulp Fiction-y.
Okay.
In a fucking weird, awesome way. It is like Pulp Fiction.
Well, and that movie was when he was working with Strummer, right?
That was Joe Strummer, yeah.
Strummer liked it him a lot or something.
Light, the guy that played Light, right? Where is he? Where's he? Cy Richardson. That dude was like Samuel L. Jackson before Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, Light was a bad motherfucker. Everything that he was in, he was a badass. I mean, he was... There's no way that Tarantino did not take something from all of this shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
I just see it and I'm like, huh. Because even in Straight to Hell, I think they were wearing suits and shit like that. You know, it was just dirty. Yeah. It was like it was a desert movie, you know, around that time. Again, like I said, everything looked to me like double nickels on the dime. You know, it just gave me that feeling.
Sure.
Yeah. When did you see it first?
Oh, high school. I feel like probably high school. It wasn't one that I saw on like, a lot of movies that I was exposed to was either because my mom ran a video store, like in the early inception of video stores, or it was on like HBO or Cinemax. And this isn't one of those that I like found that early on like that. I found it later, you know, and I would say probably around early 90s maybe.
I would say in the early...
One of my friends probably said, hey.
Nice. Yeah, see, that's what I was about to say. I think in the first couple, I'd say 10 years of its life, you know, it was very popular to a certain group of people, and that kind of branches out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Black Flag. You know what I mean? It's like their music. It's just the relentlessness of it being there all the time. And everybody knows it's there. And I mean, it's actually fucking good too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I would say that's probably a little after I was really introduced to punk music, because I would say that was probably late junior high, maybe freshman year, somewhere in there. That summer between is when I really got into punk music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's probably where this came from, was like one of my friends was like, oh, this band's in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they had I mean,
by the way, the guy from Young Guns is in this.
Yes. And Emilio, I mean, he really did love the punk rock scene.
Yeah.
In Southern California. I even read that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was looking for that little bitty tidbit while I was researching for this, but I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think he knows most of them, or he did, I
think it's cool that, like, and we can get into this, but like the character that Emilio plays is 18.
Yeah.
Right? In a punk scene. And there's a time when you're in a scene like that when you realize, like, either like something's bullshit. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
Like for him, it was like he walks in and sees his buddy that just got out of prison or jail or whatever boning his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they're like really fucking rude about it.
Yeah. So shut off the fucking light.
Yeah.
So okay.
And he just grabs his shit and goes.
Yeah, I mean
So you know what I mean? From then on, that's like where the movie starts, in my opinion. Like you get to see a little background of this character. Like don't get me wrong, you get to see like the main dude driving the car.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as Emilio Estevez's character,
yeah,
that's really where all this starts, right? His journey.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's where he runs into Stanton later,
Yeah, just out of the fucking blue.
Because he's out kicking it. He's like fucking eating McDonald's or something, drinking some beers on this, just sitting in the road.
So he's like, hey, want to do something for $10? He's like, screw you. No, I like it. It was Alex Cox being from England, and I know he had lived in LA for a little while, enough to absorb and to kind of put down on paper and shit Repo Man. Because I think he wrote it after he got out of Bristol and UCLA, because he went to Bristol and then for law or something crazy like that, and then decided he wanted to do film and went to UCLA because the film industry over there in Britain was like shitty.
Well, I think he was at Worcester College, and then he studied film studies at Bristol,
right,
and then transferred. Yeah,
then went to UCLA,
and now he teaches at the University of Colorado in Boulder.
That's fucking awesome.
Did. I don't know if he still does.
And I mean, his movies to me are always really fucking good, and they stick with you. And like I said, it was that connective tissue that kept it going.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's just so many things that were right about the movie to come out just to give you a glimpse of that time period.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that, like, I hadn't seen this movie in a while, but I remember yesterday I was out with my wife, and I was like, I kind of want to be a Repo Man now. But like in 1984.
Right. Well, I like how they had the Repo Man code, or at least Harry Dean Stanton did.
Yeah.
And it was a loose take on the robotic laws.
Yeah.
When I heard that the last time, I was like,
do no harm.
Shit. Yeah. I was like, that's fucking Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Yep.
But it's mixed. Well, yeah. I mean, besides, Sid and Nancy, this was his first movie, Alex Cox. So this was his first film credit.
And
but
who produced this?
This is the
that
coolest
where you're
one.
going?
Yes. Michael Nesmith from
the Monkees.
I read something that was really fucking super awesome about this dude. He was the one that basically created MTV.
Really?
So, and it starts with him. He put together this deal, what was it called? Pop Clips? Yes. On Nickelodeon in 1980.
Okay.
And the producers of MTV basically, or the creators, came up to him and was like, hey, we want you to help us with the network. We want you, because, I mean, you did this shit. He had like a short film that was nothing but music and shit like that, right? And, of course, everything that he had done. And he was like, nah, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it was. He had other commitments or something. He was
Yeah.
already signed on to some shit.
Yeah, but he created fucking MTV. And then when we were growing up, I remember the Monkees being on MTV too. So Michael Nesmith has been like a major part of our fucking everything. You know what I mean?
And our parents.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I didn't know that was like the biggest thing, you know, for me about Michael Nesmith, because I was like, holy shit. First time I remember watching it and paying attention, you know, when I got a little bit older, I was like, Michael Nesmith, holy shit, it's a monkey. Mm-hmm. And then kind of reading about his production company and the things that he's done. I mean, he was pretty prolific in that whole scene, and to really kind of have the idea of MTV, which I know for a fact that they used to have these jukeboxes, but they were like TV jukeboxes. And I don't know how this shit fucking worked, but I've seen all these things. And they were videos of like surf rock bands.
Okay.
So they were music videos of these guys just playing their instruments.
I remember on MTV even back in the day, you would see like the Black Sabbath video.
Right.
And it was just the color, like it was them playing, and you could tell they were in a studio, and they would mess with the colors and make them all psychedelic or whatever. Yeah. And you would always see old bands like that.
Right. But where would you see that at?
On MTV, like occasionally.
And nobody like ever really connected those to it.
Yeah.
And I always wish that they would have. Come on, if they would have shown Black Sabbath videos.
No, Night Flight.
Yeah. See, all of that shit should have been there, but he was at the forefront.
Yeah, for
Did
sure.
it on fucking Nickelodeon? Jesus Christ. I think it was.
Well, that makes sense. Viacom, which owns Nickelodeon and MTV.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, too, they were just launching.
Yeah.
They were just launching Nickelodeon, and then MTV was afterwards, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right. Because I think, you can't do that on television, all those things. I think that was like I remember watching those when I was young.
Yeah. Yeah. Nickelodeon was like... That was the place to
I always felt
launch.
like it was Canadian. It was like SCTV. Yeah. It was like the Canadian version of whatever. You know what I mean?
With barf
like
and
Saturday
shit.
Night Live.
Yeah.
You know?
It was a kid Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
At that time, that's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember watching a shitload of those with the slime and fucking everything. But we digress.
Yes. Michael Nesmith, producer of this movie.
Another producer was Jonathan Wax.
That's Wax.
Yeah, he was a producer on 21 Jump Street and Ed and His Dead Mother. Do you remember that? No. That was a movie. I remember that movie. It was pretty weird.
Not at all.
What I remember too was Head from the Monkees. Do you remember the fucking movie? I want to find that. It's been forever. It's so fucking weird. This person right here, I think, is the one that made this movie legit to me, and that was Robbie Mueller.
Okay.
The cinematographer.
Okay.
There's something about this movie, the way that it looks. Like, it could have looked really shitty, very close all the time to kind of hide everything. But he was like, fucking don't hide it. Let's do these wide shots, the driving scenes, everything that they showed the scope of it. Right. Even though I know they were just using the same bridge over and over.
Of course they were.
That's where fucking John Travolta dropped his wife.
Yeah.
On Punisher.
Oh.
Fuck. There's so many movies with that bridge or that style of bridge in California. It's like they were driving around in the block there. And I even think, what was it? Fucking Anchorman.
I could see that.
On one of those bridges when they were coming down for the fucking network fight. Yeah, I swear. But it's just really cool. I mean, they used it to a great effect to make it seem.
I was looking to see what else he would worked on, and like the things that stood out to me right away, I guess, besides Repo Man, of course, was To Live and Die in L.A.
Awesome.
The Believers,
Paris, Texas,
yeah. Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai.
That was fucking...
Coffee and Cigarettes.
Yeah. The one that got me was Dead Man with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Fucking shit. That movie was...
I didn't know this guy made 2 Jim Jarmusch movies, though.
See, right?
I was like,
whoa.
Calm down, buddy.
But it makes sense because Jim Jarmusch and Alex Cox.
4. Hold on. I just didn't know some of these were Jim Jarmusch movies. Like Down by Law. I don't know that movie. Or Mystery Train. I don't know either one of those, but obviously Dead Man, Ghost Dog,
Yeah.
and Coffee and Cigarettes are all Jim Jarmusch.
Right. Right.
So he's like their
Yeah.
bro love.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, it was just really cool. And I know that he was trying to do something. He was doing what he loved to do as far as like the way he was setting up the shots. And I think they got into a lot of arguments over it. Even came to like fighting.
Really?
At one point, like real fist fights. But I think it really made the movie because if you take away the cinematography in this film, then you just got
You got a hacky movie.
Yeah, you got a movie like just a really shitty B movie, and you don't remember it.
I think that one of the things that I like about this, and we'll probably talk about this more when we get into the story, is that you see tropes that other people have picked up throughout making movies.
Yes.
Like the trunk in a particular briefcase.
Yes. Yeah, things like that. It's just like...
And you're like, oh, okay. Like you could see that they were not rip-offs, but they definitely inspired.
Right.
That.
Remember the scene in Reservoir Dogs whenever they're running in the street? It seems like that could have been happening right down the street from them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It just seemed like that was for real. That's that same world, you know? Yep. But except for this one has aliens that can make your fucking Chevy Malibu fly.
You know, with super 1984 special effects.
And you know what? I think they didn't like light it any weird or in post. They just painted it with that DuPont glow in the dark paint.
Is that really
like,
true?
Yeah, it was like a whole bunch of gallons just to make it as bright as it was. And here I am watching it, and I'm like, how I can't see how they did it. Because you try to apply that effect on a digital, and you'd be like, it's still not the way it looked. But even when he's leaning outside the window, it's so you just see the angle, and he's like, whoa.
We'll get to that when we get to the story, because that's like right before that's maybe my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Now, the editor did a good job, too. I think Dennis Dolan. I don't really know anything else that he really did. But I didn't really research. Sorry, Dennis.
Sorry, Dennis.
So
silly son of a bitch.
Dennis is a crazy name, though.
It really
you know what I mean? It's so... I don't know. I saw a toy at a flea market one time, and it was a bomb detector guy, like G.I. Joe, and it had the name of Dennis.
What?
In quotation marks.
That was his secret name?
It was Dennis. I was like, every time I fucking...
I'm Tripwire. I'm Roadblock.
I'm Dennis.
Snake Eyes. And there's Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis over here. They're like, are you a conscientious objector? No.
He's the guy that, like, on X-Force that just had the guy with no powers.
The one that just hangs out.
Yeah.
He's like, you know who? You know what would kill us more? Melanoma. That's one of the best lines.
So I will say Emilio Estevez's second biggest star in this, in my opinion.
Well, at this point, he had never really done anything huge.
Now.
Yeah, now, yeah. Harry Dean Stanton was one of those guys that was just good from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that he did, and he was in everything up until Avengers.
Sure.
He's like, boy, you ain't got no clothes on. You just knew Harry Dean Stanton was going to put in a good performance no matter what movie he did.
What's your first interaction? What movie did you see first with him? Harry Dean Stanton?
I don't even know.
I really don't. I know mine 100% was Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's still one of my favorite movies. So,
because I remember, I don't really remember paying attention to him until I kind of knew who he was or knew what he had done.
I think for me, he was just in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's that guy from this, you know?
And the thing
probably even before I knew his name.
Right.
know?
And the thing is, kind of like the gorilla from Battle. What's his name?
Aldo?
Yeah, Aldo. The guy that put Claude Akins.
Claude Akins, yeah.
But no. Harry Dean Stanton brought a weird energy on top of he's not going to do a bad job.
No.
Even at his like a tenth of his fucking acting ability, he could probably act the shit out of everybody. You know what I mean?
Act the shit out of his part.
He's in the dressing room, I'm gonna act the fuck out of this motherfucker today. Scene 14-12. Fuck you, bitch. But no, he was like he added the kind of, that's another difference I think in this movie is the characters that they had. It's like he did pick a perfect cast for it. A good ensemble cast, even though like some of the middle tier actors in there that I would say like
everybody else that's on the
in the repo
people.
And except
pretty
for,
average.
Except for the trippy dude. But it's just like, but still, even Cy Richardson too. He brought something that was fucking weird to that movie, and he breaks all the rules that they did, before. But I mean, come on, Harry Dean Stanton was in Alien, fucking Escape from New York, Red fucking Dawn, Avenge Me.
Yep.
Paris, Texas, Wild at Heart. We've done
The Care Bears movie.
He's fucking everywhere.
I'm telling my wife all about this.
And
Be
then,
like, that's Braveheart Lion.
right. But then you do have Emilio Estevez's Otto, and everybody knows him.
Sure, absolutely.
And we know him especially because of, Breakfast Club. Men at Work is one of my favorites, but not a lot of people really liked it. But Young Guns, huge. Maximum Overdrive, and the one movie that I can't find, Wisdom.
Yo, yeah, absolutely.
What a great fucking
And
movie.
I would say there's probably a whole generation of people that know him as Coach Bombay.
Right.
For real.
Yeah.
That's not where we're from, obviously.
No.
We're probably more in that Young Guns.
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, his Billy the Kid was, that was his custom tailored role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is like, how could you not slay it when you were Emilio Estevez?
That's right.
It's cool that he kept his name too, instead of
Going with the sheen.
With the sheen. He's a way better actor than his brother was.
Charlie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I'll buy that.
Yeah. His newer movies I haven't really enjoyed. He did one where he had passed away, and then his father, his real dad, walked the same path that he did and found God. It was a very religious movie, from what I understand. I was like,
Did you watch it?
Straight up, no.
Yeah.
You know why
I think I
said straight
remember
up?
seeing that a little bit, like seeing something about that.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
But he directed Men at Work.
Yeah.
Which Men at Work is a funny movie because
I haven't seen that in a long time, but I remember not being a huge fan of it.
It's got one of the best, funniest scenes is whenever Emilio Estevez tries to take Home Dude's fucking french fries at the table, and he grabs his fucking hand. Keith David does, and crushes it. And you could see just on his face, and Emilio Estevez like, he's like, one thing you never do. You never touch another man's fries. And he throws his fucking hands down. And he's just like, like totally freaked out because he grabs his hand. It was fucking, it's one of the funniest scenes. So.
Right on.
But then we got Miller, Tracy Walter, was on Serpico.
Okay.
Conan the Destroyer. There's quite a few Serpico credits in this too. Of course, he was Bob the Goon.
Right.
Batman.
Most importantly.
Yes. He was there with everything too. This movie was very good for him in the way that it kind of established him as one of those great side characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going to take over a movie, and he could. I don't think it would have been like anything like this.
No, and I think he adds the right amount of whatever it is he has to the movie. You know what I mean? Just, I don't even know how to explain.
He's the sage. He's a soothsayer.
Sure.
You know, he is that part of the hero's journey in this one. You know, then you got Olivia Barish. She was
Mostly, doesn't he play like homeless people or like thugs?
Well, the Conan the Destroyer part was one that was very for him too. You know,
Oh, yeah,
like where he
for
swallows
sure.
a giant fucking diamond. I would have hated to been his bowel tract after that one. Ding, and guess who just got laid again? So yeah, so you got Olivia Barish. She was Lila. Yeah, she was on like an episode.
Was that the main girl?
Yeah, I think so. She was on Night Court, and she was on another movie that was a Ving Rhames movie.
Okay.
In the 80s, and it was a crazy movie called Patty Hearst.
Oh,
So you know
about
the whole,
Patty Hearst?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have it on VHS. It's so fucking weird.
Weird.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, because I'd only seen the movie like 2 or 3 times, right?
Sure.
But Ving Rhames is the head guy. You know, they show the whole Patty Hearst everything. Her getting kidnapped, her going in for the robberies, you know, everything like that. So, but really cool movie. Then, of course, the fucking penultimate character in this whole fucking movie, the badass Cy Richardson as Light. I don't know why they call him Light, but he wrote one of my biggest guilty pleasure movies, Posse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Is that the all black cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that movie, man.
Yeah,
Billy Zane is a fucking piece of shit in that movie,
Yes,
but he does a very good job.
He does a good job being a piece of shit.
Oh, the whole Motisa tribe stuff. Fuck. Man, what a dick.
Cy Richardson also in something, if you want to dig back into our old archives, They Live.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, he was the one in the, he was, basically he was talking about the contacts, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
When they went to the deal, yeah.
I didn't know that he was in, well, he was in Men at Work too, but I did not know that he was in, where the fuck did I just...
He's in Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know he was in The Grifters at all. I guess it was uncredited. But that's a great movie if you've never seen it.
I don't think
little John Cusack action.
I don't think so. Maybe. Probably. But he was in Petey Wheatstraw. So a lot of blaxploitation.
Yeah.
But the dude is like a fucking badass. So he's a good actor. You know what I mean? In those roles, I guess. Vanetta McGree. Or McGee. McGree.
I don't agree with you.
She was Marlene. Another blaxploitation spectacular with Blackula, Shaft in Africa, Detroit 9000, and some movie called Johnny Be Good. So
you don't remember Johnny Be Good?
No, not the one with no. You're thinking of the one with the John Hughes cast.
Yes.
The football player?
Yes.
Yes. Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Like, really?
Here, if you look at my piece of paper, you see there was an E right there that I
For not that.
Yeah,
For not that movie.
that I had to like erase because I was like, I'm gonna say it, Johnny Be Good.
There's no way. Like, I don't remember.
So then you have Richard Forangy. He was Otto, the Rent-A-Cop, the Rack.
Yeah.
He was in Serpico too. Ghostbusters 2. He was the Con Ed guy, you know.
Yeah,
So-
that's right. He was in Midnight Run.
Yeah. Oscars or Oscar.
Oscar with
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. The Jerk. Once Upon a Time in America. So the dude, he's got that Italian cop profile look, you know. Plus his hair like feathers around his ears, you know.
He's got the Eric Estrada going on.
Yes. I mean, it lays perfect.
That's
around
how you
the
could be a
ears.
cop.
Then you got Fox Harris. He was J. Frank Parnell. He was in Sid and Nancy, Human Highway. Susan Barnes, she was Agent Rogers, so she was the metal hand chick. She was also in They Live with Cy Richardson. And Speed
That's
2
right.
Cruise Control. The
Best
biggest
sequel
deuce,
ever made.
the biggest deuce anybody has dropped on the American public's chest.
It was a nice Cleveland steamer.
Then you got Tom Finnegan. He was Ollie, right? He did the voice of General Boy on Devo's video game, The Adventures of the Smart Patrol.
Okay.
And General Boy, the original one was Mark Mothersbaugh's father. Whenever they did their
Really?
videos and everything back in the 70s, whenever they were doing it. So you can almost put them at the top of making videos too. Whenever they were doing that shit, it was their father, all the photos and everything. So on the video game, I guess they picked him, right?
Right.
He was on Predator 2 and Dick Tracy.
Duck.
Tracy. Dick Tracy. Then you got Del Zamora. Lagarto. He was one of the Rodriguez brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He was in RoboCop, Born in East LA. Of course. Cliched. Fuck. Murphy Brown. I had to write that down. And Murphy Brown, I'm like, you're my best friend. He was also in Rapid Fire.
Yeah.
Then
With Brandon Lee?
yes. Then you got Jennifer Balgobin. She was Debbie.
Easy for you to say.
I know.
Was that his initial girlfriend? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The punk rocker chick.
Yeah.
Because she was a punk rocker chick, and she was one of the mutants that came through in Weird Science.
Yeah, that's right.
You have a lovely home. Sorry.
Are we almost to Napoleon Dynamite?
Almost.
Progenitor?
We got Eddie Velez. He was the other.
Napoleon Rodriguez. Yes. Okay, so that's his friend, sort of, that he like gives a lot of shit, like pushes him down when he's doing the thing and all that. His name's Napoleon. He looks just like Napoleon Dynamite, and I think that's where they got the idea for Napoleon Dynamite. 100%. And think about some of the conversations they had.
Right? It's like, oh. Well, he was on.
When I get a real job and make money, or whatever he says, you know what I mean? I could go somewhere. That's a job with movement.
Oh, no, that's not him.
Yeah, it is.
That's not Napoleon.
Yes, it is.
No.
Eddie Velez?
No, he was a Mexican dude. The guy you're talking about, that was Kevin. Xander Schloss.
Oh, am I thinking of the wrong guy?
Yeah, Kevin is his friend. He's the one that ended up being the bass player in the Circle Jerks.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on Tapeheads, and Tapeheads is another Michael Nesmith thing. So a lot of these people were in Tapeheads too. But yeah, he was the bass player for the Circle Jerks.
Okay.
Or he ended up being. Yeah, no. The Mexican dude, the one of the Rodriguez brothers, that was Napoleon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He was on like the A Team. And
I thought it
Traffic
was
and
the
shit.
same dude. And I was like, oh my God.
Well, you got a dude named Dick Root in this too, right?
Yeah, you do.
So it's Duke, and he's the asshole. He was in Night of the Comet. He was a stock boy, and he was Sid Nancy.
Yeah.
So many Sid and Nancy's, so many fucking Tapeheads, so
a lot
many.
of Fear and Loathing.
Yeah.
There's just a lot.
Harry Dean Stanton was in that.
Yeah.
You know? The one guy, this Miguel Sandoval guy, the guy that played Archie, right? The actor, his name was Archie from the Archie comics, but he acted like Moose.
Moose.
From the Archie comics. He was a big dumb athlete.
Oh, okay.
He's like, "Oh, Archie want to play."
Oh, that's right.
You know, so did he hurt his little bitty hand? He was on Howard the Duck.
Fair.
But he's been pretty big throughout his life. I mean, he was the one that was in Jurassic Park that was like, he's like Grant's like me. He's a digger. He was on Ricochet.
Okay.
Fucking badass Denzel Washington movie. One of the only that was the first action movie that he did. He took off because everybody hated it after the second one he did, Virtuosity.
I remember we've done that.
Yeah.
Check out the
the archives.
archives, if
How
you will.
many fucking people do we have in this shit?
It's a lot.
But that was and of course, I mean, you got to talk about the Circle Jerks playing the lounge band
for sure. Can't believe I used to like this.
Yeah, I know. But so that's pretty much your principles. That's production. That's everything. Because this movie was only made for how long? For how much? $1.5 million.
Yeah, it made 3.7.
And it only showed at like fucking 4 cities.
Sounds right.
It was like L.A., Chicago, New York, and that was it.
Probably made $3 million just in LA.
Well, and then it came back, you know, in home video. So people have been showing it in movie theaters forever now.
Sure.
But it is a movie to me that a snapshot of what an over glorified snapshot of Southern California punk rocker, you know?
Yeah.
And apparently Alex Cox was a Repo Man himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
and I
didn't
think
know that.
he got a lot of dialogue from, you know, riding around. So he was basically kind of like an Otto.
Well, I think that's where you take a lot of your inspirations and like you write what you know, right?
You have to start somewhere.
That's right.
You know, if he was trying to make ends meet at UCLA, back in the day. He was probably doing anything and everything.
Absolutely.
And then also going to the shows.
I'm going to write a movie about selling meat door to door.
There you go.
Hashtag circus meat.
Oh, that meat man cocksucker.
Yeah,
I'm going to pull his eye out.
You can
and
beat our price,
show
but
him.
you can't beat our meat.
The sickest character of all time. But no. I like I said, I think it's an over exaggerated, but it's really cool because that is, I don't know, it's just something that it shows that piece of the West Coast, that it's kind of nowadays, 40 years later, is glorified in a way as being a really cool place for that kind of scene,
Sure.
Which I don't want to insult it, and I don't want to like over fucking
You're
say
like,
how
I
important
like
it
New
is.
York punk.
Yeah, right. But it was a very influential time for a lot of people,
Absolutely.
especially around Hollywood.
Absolutely.
You had a lot of people come through, and that's why this movie sticks with you, because you have good actors. For the most part, you have a great ensemble. They all worked well together.
I think that's more than them being good actors. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple of them that I'm like, okay, those people are pretty good actors. Well, overall, the ensemble did a good job with their characters. Right?
They picked
even the ones that you're like, that guy.
Right. And it seemed like, well, like the main guy is like auto parts. I mean, but later on,
This movie would have came out a year later. It would have been like Autobots.
But there was, everybody was a good actor or actress in this movie, but they weren't like up to Harry Dean Stanton status. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they all could have played in that sandbox too. I
Sure.
think. They all could have been around all
I ain't
that.
gonna be no Repo Man. You already are.
Sorry, kid. Already are. I'll fucking take the money.
I'll take that $20.
25.
25. Yeah, that's right. It's
No.
gonna be 10.
Yeah. So fuck you. No, I just really I enjoyed it. That it was, the script is so gonzo, but yet it's a lattice work of fucking coincidences. Is really fucking.
It's
cool.
really what it is. Yeah.
Yes, that's the coolest part about it. It's so randomly straight in a way.
We start out with the scene with Light driving, right? And being pulled over. Is that the beginning of the movie?
No, that's whenever the guy from Los Alamos. He gets pulled over at the very beginning. By
That's
the
what
cop.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
But that's the guy. That's the scientist.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets not Light. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That the scientist. That's where we start. Correct.
Yep.
I did like one thing that they did in this too, to kind of let you know where everything's going. I like that mapping at the beginning, and you're like moving with the map, right? Yeah. And if you're paying attention, you're really moving with the map to somewhere.
That's what I always.
Was pretty
cool.
Cool.
I like the way that they did the titles in this. That was another important thing, because it does kind of get you in. It doesn't. I mean, Iggy's not singing that whole time,
right?
Which is just the background music, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And you do get to watch it go down Route 666 before Route 666 was a fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going to Barstow and all that shit like that, Fear and Loathing. So there's a lot of connection to the desert out over there.
For sure.
Which is really cool.
Because they go through New Mexico, Arizona.
Gallup.
Yep.
Everything in that song.
Yep.
Get your kicks on Route 66. But yeah, no, I for real just took a lot of chances. Really, it didn't matter that like Dick Rude was like the worst fucking actor in the whole thing, but he was like perfect
for what he was.
Yes. I wouldn't put him in a starring role at that point. I think later on down the way,
there's quite a few people that I wouldn't have put in a starring role that were in this movie.
But he was,
if I'm being real,
he was funny though.
Yeah, no, he was 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of. It's just funny too. He shows up in a fucking Sid Vicious shirt, and then they kind of get into that bromance. Throwing people up against the Safeway wall. You know what I mean? Listening to I was like, are they at a show? And then like the third or fourth time I watched it, I was like, no, it's just somebody's boombox. It gotta be. And they're playing coup d'etat. Coup d'etat! the music was really good. It kind of interwoven everything exactly what you needed from it. It's hard to do that with so many different sounds. You know, that's another element to the movie I think that was really good, because you're not fighting it, and it's not basically one linear kind of a sound. You know, it's more like, hey, just fucking everything's random.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything's going to end up somewhere. And, you know, I mean, even whenever they were doing the, you have punk rock legends in this. Keith Morris, he was in it whenever they were riding the scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see the scooters parked outside the band's place, but those were the actual, I don't think they were, but they show all of those scooters, right? And I'm like, where are they from? Because they all came home in the car, didn't they? No, they didn't.
No, their bikes were parked out there.
Yeah. Keith
when they
Morris
come out
is
and
in
like,
he's
like has his case and he's gonna hit him. I'm like, what?
He's like, no, I like music too. How? And then he has that goddamn fucking dirty rag on his head. Every time I'm like, gross. He did change the way he looked really fast, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's going with, kind of driving along with Bud. But that first one. So basically, what the whole story is about, you know, this guy that was going from Los Alamos to California, or I guess just down Route 66 as far as he could go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And he had stolen aliens in the trunk.
Maybe.
Or maybe there were sausages.
We don't ever know.
No.
We ever get no confirmation what's in the back of that Malibu.
Not at all. Just that ambiguous green light.
I think that the girl says something about there being possibly aliens in the back, right? Is it her?
The picture, yeah.
Yeah.
She has a picture, and the picture ends up, it was on the National Enquirer.
That's right.
But she's like, this is going to be on every major newspaper, but... No. So there's a lot of plot gaps.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still intertwined just fine. You know, I would have liked to see what happened to Kevin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because he's in the hospital at the very end,
right? And
he lifts up the sheet and he's like, Otto, and you see the name tag. It just says Kevin. So that was really kind of a weird throwback. You're like, where's Kevin? I don't really care. Oh, there he is. You know, I mean, fucking kicks ass from the beginning.
Sure.
I mean, you get to see that whole Tarantino lift.
Yeah. As he pulls over the car, he gets pulled over, and he's obviously like freaked out of his mind. Like while he's driving, you can kind of tell.
He was just singing the words Clementine over and over again.
Yeah.
Clementine.
Yeah, that's how you knew he was crazy. And he's got that where it's like one dark eye and one light.
Yeah.
And his glasses.
It was like green on one side, you know? Fucking weird.
And then the cop pulls him over and he's like, what's in the trunk? He's like, you don't want to look back there.
You don't want to look back there.
At least he tells him.
Yes.
Then the cop does, and all that's left is his boots.
Yeah. Which is fucking cool as shit. You know what I mean? It just burns him fucking. And they use that old kind of way that they would do it. Just shine that fucking light. And it's like, damn.
It's like aliens from 1950s, how they do it.
Yeah. He got zapped. So then he's heading to fucking Los Angeles.
Yep. Just keeps on rolling. Keep on trucking.
So all we know is this dude's on his way there, right? And then...
He's got something in his trunk. Could be the soul of Marcellus Wallace.
Could very well be. And it turned gold after being refined, and that's how they got it to put it inside the deal. So connective tissue.
I see.
They purified it. Oh. Damn. No, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a clap back to something you won't hear.
See, okay. But see, in the next shot, the supermarket shot, that is another one that I think was really great to come from the top.
Oh, that was my favorite scene out of everything.
Talking 7-Up.
And I love that everything's like the 80s generic, like because you didn't want to get, I
remember those things.
So it's beer.
Yeah, I remember the blank cans like that.
Oh, sure, I do too.
At Safeway and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember them like opening my cupboards and be like, oh, what am I gonna have?
Oh, look, it's potted meat.
The food, meat flavored. You know, put it on a plate, son. You'll like it. You'll enjoy it more.
Stew.
But I remember that shit. It was so cool. But he's getting in trouble for stacking cans wrong.
You're not facing him correctly or something? Or what?
But if you look at the stack, they're fucked up.
Yeah.
They're all like half laying on each other and shit. It's like, you even paying attention to me? He's like, and then, of course,
And he was late that day, you know.
Normally I would overlook it, but I've been hearing that your cans.
What?
So basically he knocks Kevin into the deal after he quits. Then they go to the punk show.
Well, no, before we even get there, let me tell you how quick this fucking rent-a-cop pulled out his gun on an 18-year-old kid. Because as soon as he, like, gets bowdy about it, that cop's like, what? Pointing a gun at an 18-year-old kid?
That guy,
he was ready to go.
That guy was on Blood In, Blood Out. He was.
I can see that.
Sangre por sangre. Blood in. I don't want his life. I don't. Oh, shit.
That's the day we lost Brock.
I don't want his pork chop. I want his life. No, but yeah, I mean, he reaches over and he's like, fuck you.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, fuck you, flips him off. And I'm telling you right now, like, I was like, put that in today. Now, instead, it's 2023.
He's got a lawsuit on his hands.
And there's some kid working in a place. And he gets mad about his job and he pushes another kid into the cans and tells everybody to fuck off.
That's assault. He's got 3 years in prison.
And the guy pulls a gun out on him. And right away, all that goes away.
We need to go into the office. We need to have a conversation.
Now
about
we've had
this,
some
Otto.
endangerment.
Yes. Otto, this is your 4th write-up in 4 weeks.
I've got HR on the line. They will be here with us throughout this discussion. It will be recorded.
That is like the worst feeling in the fucking world, because I know we've all been there. Oh, it's like HR's online. Or when you'd see HR come in, you know, you'd like, oh.
Well, when they come in, when HR comes in, it plays the Imperial March. Dun, 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 dun,
But
dun,
those
dun,
guys
dun.
are like the nicest dudes, right?
They are, of course.
And when they come in, there's a reason they're there.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're cool, you're like, fuck, I didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
I know I didn't do anything wrong. And then when you see somebody get walked out, like, for real,
Yep.
come on. That's why when I left my last job, I quit, grabbed my Febreze.
Out of the bathroom?
Nope. Nope. Had it in my cubby. Already cleaned that motherfucker out like 3 months in advance.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. No, it's a real kind of like generic feeling that they try to put on that, you know?
Well, I think one of the things that I like about that scene is thinking back to being like an 18-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, like, I just remember that, like, this is all bullshit feeling. Right?
Yeah.
And you see that all over his face, even while he's doing it. Before, like, there's even an interaction, you're like, God, this guy hates his fucking life.
Yeah. What is it that he's
why-
doing? He's just like stacking shit.
Consumerism. Which this movie is really, like, hits on the consumerism a lot.
Yeah.
Which is fine. A lot of movies, especially in this time period, did.
Yeah. Another one of those, hey, here's a problem.
Yeah. Welcome
a
to
problem over
Escape from
here.
the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. There's a problem over here. Don't worry
I
about
don't know
it.
if you guys noticed this, but there's a little thing called consumerism going on. Hyper consumerism. Because
all those hyper capitalists. Told that to one dude one time. He's like, "You just read that." It's our old DM, Jacob.
Yeah.
He's like, "Dude, for real? You just read that on a fucking website or something?" And I was like, "No, I didn't, man." What? But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, and the production company was called Edge City, right?
Yes.
So he ends up going to Edge City.
Yeah.
But right after this, pretty much he gets
Edge
to
City bitch. Edge City bitch.
yeah, he gets because, and I'll tell you what Edge City paraphrase means, because it actually does.
City
it's a
on the
legitimate,
edge.
kind of, but there's some other stuff with it.
Living on the edge.
But they do the punk rock concert.
Yeah.
or
Was it even a concert?
the
There was just-
7-Eleven.
Yeah, there's just music and mosh.
The punk rock gathering.
Yeah.
Critical mass.
Mosh
or
pit.
something. Yeah. and then they go to the.
And that dude shows
Party.
up. Yeah, and that dude
Yeah.
shows up. They're like moshing, and that dude comes up and he's like, "Oh!" They're like looking at each other, and you're like, "Wait a minute, is he gonna fight him? What's going on?"
Or is he going to kiss him?
And then they come over and they're like making love, but they're not really. They're just like holding their heads toward each
it was
other.
like-
They're bros.
yeah, it was like,
right.
yeah, it was like, get a room, man.
They're obviously really good friends,
Right.
and they're partying. And then he's hanging out with his girl
Well, it is weird too.
in his underwear.
Yeah. Well, he's folding his pants too,
Yeah,
which is unusual for a punk rocker to be like, hold on, let me fold my pants. And even she's like,
what?
and then he's like, okay, you can start. What?
And then she's asked him to go get a beer,
Yeah.
and he comes down in his underwear.
Yeah. That's when they're
Okay.
playing institutionalized,
that's right.
right? He comes down and then you see Archie,
Yes,
the dipshit guy, right? He looks over and sees him. So you know he has to tell fucking Duke,
yeah.
hey. And I mean, it was like not even a minute.
No, it was quick.
Yeah, I come back and they're all sweaty. They were like sweaty. Like they were having a good time in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so he goes up and the friend's doing his girlfriend, and he just grabs his shit and starts to leave. Doesn't even really make a big deal about it.
No.
And then she's like, "Turn off the fucking light."
But
What?
we find out that's Kevin's house.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it is my parents' room. So those little bitty things
Yeah,
like
no,
that
that's
that they throw
perfect.
in.
Yeah, absolutely.
They throw in all
Because you
these,
knew it was somebody's house,
right.
right?
But whose was it, right? And
Fucking
was he a punk
Kevin.
rocker? Yeah.
Well, he hung out with punk rockers.
Right. So
He's like the guy in SLC Punk that wears the glasses, kind of nerdy, big guy. And then when he takes off his glasses, he fights everybody and kicks everybody's ass.
I've only seen that movie like once.
No, you should watch it again. It's so good.
I've heard a lot of good things. I remember it was good when I watched it, but I was like, don't really want
I
to
didn't
watch
sell out. I bought in.
It was Matthew Lillard.
I love Matthew Lillard. That's the greatest line, though, his dad. I didn't buy out. I sold it. Or he goes, I didn't sell out. I bought in.
That's what the baby boomers did. That's what they're about. But yeah, so what happens next?
Then he leaves and he's like, oh, what does because he's sitting out, he's like drinking a beer on the side of the road.
Yeah,
And
singing TV party.
yes, that's what it was. So he's like just naming fucking
Monday Night Football. it's the whole fucking TV
Saturday
party.
Night Live. I was like, Friday Night Lights? Oh, wait, this is
got
too early.
Nothing better to do.
Yeah, he's just naming fucking TV shows
Yeah.
real loud and screaming. And then we see him walking and going for a while, and then that's where we see Bud, Henry Dean Stanton's character.
Yeah, he's kind of like just kind of drifting a little bit.
Yeah.
Staying by the same bridge.
Well, he's dealing with all of his internal trauma of
yeah.
seeing his girlfriend with his friend.
He's doing circles around the bridge.
Yeah,
You know,
as they do.
he doesn't have any. He doesn't want to get lost. He's got to have a major landmark.
Well, and we don't have that big of a budget.
Yes. So, because
Bud tells him, "Hey, can you do me a favor? My wife's having a baby, and this is her car."
I don't
I'm like
want to leave
this.
it in
It's
this.
like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
This is
It's a bad neighborhood.
yeah, it's a bad neighborhood. I don't want to leave her car over here.
And he's like, I'll give you $10. And he's like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you,
I
asshole.
wouldn't do it for less than 20. And he's like, 25. what kind
right.
of bidding is this?
Yeah, and apparently he's right by the car too.
Yeah.
So he hands him the keys. He's like, don't worry about that. He's like, where's your wife? Don't worry about that now. Don't worry about that. I want to get my cars out of here. And he's driving the shitty Impala.
Yeah.
That thing is fucking dirty as shit. Very suspicious. Or what is inconspicuous would have been a clean, like, fucking government Dodge like they
Maybe
had.
not. I don't know.
I don't know. That car was gross.
80s were dirty.
I smell that car.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, I've been in a couple
Smells
of
like
those.
cocaine and cigarettes.
Smells like cigarettes mainly.
I love that. You want to do some speed?
Sure. Fucking. See, and that's, I mean, I've been in those fucking
Absolutely.
cars,
Hasn't
you know?
everybody?
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Not anymore. This new generation.
That's true.
They have to put it in a movie to be in one. Not the real deal. Not Grandpa's car. But so yeah, that's his first heist.
Yeah, so then they go back to the yard, and he goes in to meet all the group.
That's when you meet everybody except for Light. Light
Yeah,
comes in
that's right.
afterwards. So he goes in, he's trying to figure it out. Their office is fucked up too because it has just like a half gate.
Yeah, it looks like every like 1970s like.
But it reminds me of your dog gate.
That's fair. That is fair.
You have those big ass motherfuckers in that place that will not like knock it open instead of buzzing in. They gotta buzz fucking in every fucking time instead of even just stepping over it. Some people could.
Yeah, I would just slide over the top.
It's like, motherfucker.
Give me my call, motherfucker.
It took me 2 weeks to get the bread for
When
this
he's
motherfucker.
talking, yeah, so because we come in on an interaction,
Yeah.
and man, they're going at it, and you think there's going to be like a fight, and then at the end they like laugh,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What's he say? Nicest car on the lot, or
Yeah.
something like that."
He says that about
Every car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nicest car in the lot. And then, so they got to let him out, and he's looking at the woman. He's like, "Hey, mama, you want to ride?"
And that girl's
What?
like, his girl that's with him's like, "Let's go."
Damn right. The way that they switch too,
Yep.
you know, he like throws it. Yeah, got it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
you can tell they interact a lot.
Yeah.
Like they know each other.
Yeah.
He's had some cars repoed.
So my understanding, repo men buy the debt from the bank, and then they go confiscate it and resell. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it depends what kind of repo man. I'm sure sometimes you're doing it for the bank,
right, or
you
you're
know,
doing it
and
independent.
like you get X
Yeah.
amount of money, so much percentage.
Commission,
Right.
Because the way
Like the one that's $20,000 for the Impala, we're going to find out is like, what?
yeah, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that that's out there, and then they do cut back to the desert,
Yeah.
and you hear all the weird background chatter. And I had my headphones on for one time, and I was listening to all the background. It was like they had it turned upside down. Fucking never seen anything lose its testicles like that. It's like they ripped them off, and it's just weird random lines in the back, you know. And you see the one woman that's like, you know, standing with the cop on the road, and he's like, "What could have done something to what could have done that to that guy?
Right.
Napalm?" And she's like, "Nah, just
Natural
happens."
causes.
Yeah, happens
People-
every once in a while,
People just explode.
but that's the truth.
Yeah, it is true. Absolutely.
There is spontaneous combustion.
Yep.
I don't know how, but I've seen those pictures to where like they're sitting in the chair and their fucking hands and legs and everything look like they didn't move.
It's just the middle part that disappeared.
It's just like, woof, but it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's unexplainable. Ghosts. But no, yeah. So
Energy weapons from the future.
So we kind of introducing a new part to that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many weaving storylines.
Yeah.
So Otto's he's getting the business.
Yeah.
He's learning
The
right?
business.
At first he talks a lot of shit. Then he ends up going home.
Yeah.
That's when he goes home after looking for the
Yeah,
job.
and he eats the beef stew or whatever it is, the potted meat or whatever.
Yeah, Kevin's like, man, I could get a fry cook job. There's a future in it.
There's movement there.
Yeah.
I could be the manager.
And
The
then-
god.
Yeah, pretty soon be like, God. He's like, whatever, dipshit. It was like there was an asbestos cleaner job too. And he's like,
Yeah.
So he gets on the bus and he goes to Edge City. Edge City,
Did we meet his parents yet?
almost.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where he's going. It's kind of like
Okay.
the Lion Estates, right?
Yeah.
But what I, again, I'm going to kind of try to remember what it was. Edge City is basically a town built around a shopping center type of a deal. So
yeah.
it's like a suburb.
So it's a suburb out like you see often outside of.
Yeah. But and they have nothing but everything that they need right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like a shopping mall, whatever.
Like the 15-minute cities everybody's trying to go to right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, I mean, that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so he shows up and his parents are hippies. You can immediately tell
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
hippies.
Well, and she lights up a joint too.
Yeah, right in the middle
But
of
they're
it.
watching a televangelist. And
Apparently that's
like
what
are
really happened.
mesmerized. Like they cannot take their eyes off of
Right.
it. And she's the only one that really interacts until he prods. with his father. You know, like
Yeah.
she's the only one really talking to him, and even when she's talking to him, she does not take her eyes off the televangelist.
Nope, not at all. And you can hear him talking shit the whole time in the
Right.
background. It's like, I'm not asking you for money. The Lord is asking you for money.
Well, and they had some, like, how much money were they going to give him? Like, he's like, yeah, you were
$1,000.
telling me about this money.
Yeah.
If I went to school or stayed in school or something. And he's like, yeah, we don't have that anymore.
Sorry, son. We don't have any extra money. What? So we
gave it to the televangelist.
Yeah, we did it in a non-tax deductible something that
From our family.
From our family. So you're doing good.
Yeah.
We're sending Bibles to El Salvador. He's like, but what about me?
Wait, what?
I just love this shit. He's like, this is good. Sure is good. It's very swell. Hey, Dad. Yes, son. He's like, you know I love you, right? I always have. You too, Mom. Remember that $1,000 that you said you
That's
would give
right.
to me? You know, if I finish school? Well, I think that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to finish school. So can I have that money in advance? That is so fucking crazy that while I was saying that, I was like, how do I know so much? Goddamn, I know that scene easily.
That was a good scene.
Yeah. And we get to see that preacher
Yeah.
eventually. So Otto, the next day, he actually becomes a fucking repo man.
Yeah. He's like, even though he said, I ain't going to be no repo man.
First place he goes to get money.
Bad grammar.
And then of course, he's in the car with Harry Dean Stanton, right?
Yeah,
It looks like a punk rocker and everything. And he's like, so what do I get? Like $25 a car? And he's like, no, you don't get a paycheck. You get fucking commission. This was before it was fucking taxed, probably. To fucking hell.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Dude.
That is an anger point for me. I don't understand why commission has to be so taxed.
Because people are douchebags.
Still going back to the 1%.
Yep.
But so what's crazy is he automatically just says, all right, you know what? I guess I got to fucking do it. What else is there?
And this is where they steal the red car, right?
Well, this is before
the red car?
Before that one, because this is where they pull, where they're just driving and drinking.
Oh, that's right.
Because every time they stop, right?
Drink?
Yeah, he's like, hey, let's go get a drink. Like they go to one place, right? And the punk rockers are under the table.
Oh, that's right.
Archie, Duke, and Marlene or whatnot.
Yeah.
Not Marlene, but the punk rocker chick.
Yeah.
They were down there, and you can see Harry Dean Stanton's like, just give it to me, I'll do it. Stop shaking. They're not even fucking paying attention. And then there is another thing that keeps popping up. It's a smiley face.
Yeah.
But you really notice it whenever Home Dude takes it from the second place, because he takes a smiley face cookie.
Yeah.
But then you see it on his girlfriend. You see it on him. You see it fucking everywhere. I was thinking about that image, the smiley face image, and why it's so fucking, to me, iconic and weird. Not to put a lot into it. It's just, it disrupts everything in that yellow color.
Sure.
It's just, your eyes are always drawn to it.
Well, and you think about, like, that's like synonymous with Watchmen.
Right.
You know, and
There's
that's
so
like
many
one
things.
little piece of the whole story.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, I mean,
But you're right. It does disrupt
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah, they kind of go through this, training day period,
Yeah.
and then they run into the Rodriguez brothers.
Yeah. That's great.
They're going through the LA River. He's like, if the shit hits the fan, I'm coming down here and going 100 per. It's like, well, does shit box even do 100? And they come out, dum 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 dum. And then they race on the side. I don't get
I
it.
don't know. But it seemed like they got beat.
Yeah, I guess. It's like, whoa, that was intense. You didn't tell me it was going to be like this.
I'm telling you right now, no wonder I wanted this repo job last night. I
didn't want to do this shit.
Dude, I want to be part of this. This sounds like great. It's like a heist every day.
Right.
You're gonna race through the sewers of LA.
Right. They show Bud's distaste for everybody. He's like, fucking regular people. He's like, you have to be, on all the time. In at 3, out at 4. He's like, God damn, he's got a big code, right? So he's like, he's your OG.
He
like,
tells them the
good
code, the one that you were talking about earlier. That's
Yeah.
basically like the robot code, but for cars. And
Yes.
Repo Man.
Yeah, he's not going to touch the contents thereof.
Yeah.
Or allow the contents thereof.
To come into harm.
Yes. Which is fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So then he goes back and guess what? He has to ride with, because it was Dick Rude this time.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the ones that he went on were with Dick Rude because, I think even at one point they're at the Rodriguez brothers' place.
Mm-hmm.
Do they not see her up there too? They're like resistance fighters. Where the fuck does a lot of this shit comes from? They're like, we want to expose the aliens. How are you involved in this as freedom fighters? It just takes weird turns, right?
Like the televangelist.
But after he learned all of that, I mean, he rides with Psy.
Yeah.
Or the fucking Light.
Yeah.
And Light breaks every one of the rules.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like the gun part. He's like, I won't, Bud tells him, don't get killed over a car. It's not worth your life. You know? But then Light has a fucking gun, right? And I never break shit.
He's just firing in the window at that.
Yeah, he's got a fucking, like a briefcase full of shit because they boost that one red one first.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he shakes the bag and he throws it out and it's fucking got like $200,000 in it. That could have been it for all of them.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's right.
They were probably all filled with cash. So you don't know. There's all those little different random things that they throw in there too.
I would like to make a movie just about the person that finds that money that he threw out.
Yes.
Just leave it from there.
There you go.
1984.
Somebody finds it. They're like, holy
go.
shit.
Let's go.
And then you show it in the background, the fucking deal taking off.
Yeah. Yes.
car.
What the fuck was that?
It just zooms around the city. Who's fucking driving it? I don't know. So yeah, we've already met pretty much everybody. The Rent-A-Cop, fucking Otto from Auto Parts, Marlene, the desk chick, Light, God, and Home Dude that was out, the soothsayer.
Oh yeah. What was the owner
Miller.
guy's name?
That's who I don't remember that one. But Miller.
Miller's the one that's out burning everything.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
it's like they're burning property too because he burns like a fucking sombrero.
Yeah, well, I think it's like stuff that like for cars that they end up nobody comes gets or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the first time he sees him, he's like, "Here you go," and he hands him the fucking green deal.
Oh, the tree.
Yeah.
The Christmas tree air, or the pine tree air freshener.
Yeah, you'll find one in every car.
You'll see.
You'll see.
What?
It's funny. They were a sponsor too.
Were they really?
Yeah, but then they put they had the taped one on the motorcycle, which was funny. So they were everywhere. It's just really cool the way they introduce him. He's always dragging that deal too. They show him dragging it a couple of times. But yeah, the shootout one was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That one was fucking nuts. Plus, he tries to throw the mouse on the chick,
Yeah,
the rat.
And she's just like, and he's like, yeah, it works every time. Always with the ladies. Yes. And he goes and he throws the rat in there and she's like, oh, nice. And just here's some pepper spray in your face.
And he takes off after her, too. And he's like, God damn, where the fuck are you? It's Light. Like Light leaves him in all of these fucked up situations. That's why he's so
Except for the one where they started shooting because he just got out and started firing back. Come to find out they were blanks.
It was so fucking cool, though. The dude, like, literally, he's like, open the door, Light, open the door. And he does it for like a minute. He's like, get the fuck in that car. Let's go. After he fires like fucking 8 shots into the house.
Get out of here.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit. Because they kind of foreshadow it a little bit. He picks it up. He's like, shit, put that down.
Yeah.
The fuck's loaded. Because he's doing that with whenever the alarm's going off.
Uh-huh.
That fucking where he's something. I don't know what he's doing.
Right.
It's a car thief thing.
Yeah.
Because
he's got all the things and he's doing the things.
He basically tells him to, he's all, fuck, man, we're car thieves.
Yeah.
Just like they are. So it's like he has no it doesn't matter to him.
No.
You know that they're all married because you get to meet them.
Yeah, all the old wives that are like all over like Emilio Estevez in this circus meet. They're like, yes,
and they even look at our wives like flies on shit. Huh?
They're all over Otto.
Yeah, and they're all white.
Yeah, and they're
white
all just
ladies.
watching.
Yeah.
All the husbands are just watching them be all over Otto.
Yeah.
And he's like, give me a beer, I'm out of here.
Because even at one point, too, they're like, I like watching my buddies fuck.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was so crazy.
Where did that come
That doesn't
from?
make him gay.
Yeah. And then he's like, John Wayne was a fag, right?
And they're all like, what did you say?
I'm like, huh? And he's like, no, I installed one-way mirrors, and he came up in a dress. So that's those.
And that's where he's like, well, that doesn't mean that he's gay.
Yeah. It substantiates some rumors of his, though, too.
I think that had they said, well, yeah, he used to go on week-long cruises with John Ford and all the guys. Maybe. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I know that they did go to an island and have sex with whores.
Yeah.
That too.
And horses?
Maybe. Probably. Maybe. Gotta get a good relationship with your horse when you're the Duke.
He puts on he puts on that hat that he wore from fucking Stagecoach. Puts on the fucking boots he had on.
Secretly, him and John Ford,
yeah.
now all those dudes were all furries.
But they breed their own breed of buffalo. They're mini buffaloes.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. Shout out to
John
any
Wayne.
of our listeners that are furries. We did not want to lump you in with John Wayne necessarily.
No. Pardon my intrusion on the word too.
I know little about your culture.
But no, so that was just fucking weird.
Yeah, it was super
but then
strange.
whenever they
I forgot
are
about
hanging
that,
out with
actually.
him, yeah. Because what are they doing? They're cutting fucking Miller's hair, or Miller is.
Yeah.
He actually does cut it too.
Yeah, he does.
You're like snip, whoa. But yeah, I mean, well, they do actually pull one in because right after that they get even with his old boss at the market. Remember? They show up at his house.
Well, yeah, because he asks, like, who did this to you?
After the band beat him up.
Yeah, so the story is he goes to go repossess a car, and he's in talking to this elderly black lady. And he's like, she's like, maybe I can borrow the money. He's like, okay, well, I won't take it today. Like, he's trying to do his gig, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, 12 brothers come home. And they're obviously in a band.
Yeah.
And ride mini bikes or
God, there's
scooters.
like 8 of them.
Yeah, there's, I don't know. And then so he gets out and he's like, well, fuck, I'm just going to take the car anyways. And
but
then,
it's on blocks.
Yeah. Dummy doesn't look to make sure that it's got 4 wheels on the ground. And I think that'd be the first thing you do. Like, let me just take a quick look around before I drive off.
He was careless.
Yeah. Well, he's new.
Yeah.
He's new still.
He was careless. He was pissed off. You had a rear-wheeled vehicle.
Up on jacks. Jack stands, rather.
Yeah. Like
and
they knew.
They beat the crap out of him. So everybody's like, well, who did this? And so he gives them his old boss's name. It's fucking great.
Show up at his house. It's fucking awesome.
But I think between there, doesn't he meet the girl before that? Yeah, because we should talk about
him
that.
Him and Bud, after he goes back after a couple of days with Light, him and Bud go over to the millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, millionaires, 8 payments behind. Why are these motherfuckers always doing that? They got the money for it. But it's like the millionaire dude has the gun holster on his hip, but no gun in it, right? And he's wearing a fucking tracksuit.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I want you to put these clothes right over there. It's like, what the
Take
fuck?
your shit out.
Yeah,
Why is he at a laundromat?
I know. It's like, I wonder if he was watching them wash his clothes or wanting them to wash and dry his clothes for him while he just sat out there in the car. That's what I'm
What
thinking.
kind of millionaire does that though?
Right.
Don't you have like some people?
And if you're, and if you're going to carry
You
a,
would never be at a laundromat, is what I'm saying, unless you own the laundromat and that was a
Right.
front for money laundering.
something, yeah. I mean, he liked to do his own laundry, but apparently not.
Not at his house though. He likes
he
to
wanted
be able to
somebody
be
else.
around other people when he
Do their laundry,
Yeah.
like Hypnotic or something. I don't know. But then he has a license to carry.
Yeah.
That's what Bud mentions.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, and he's like, yeah, you underestimate me. And he literally just got in and drove off. And that's when he meets Lila.
Yeah.
She's walking down the road running.
Running.
Yeah.
And he asks her if she needs a ride.
Hey, baby, you need a ride?
And then he like smashes into like the trash cans and all that stuff.
That old
He
lady.
ain't paying attention.
The old lady's like, pick that up.
I saw you do it. Pick it up. She comes back around later too. Anyway, so he ends up giving Lila a ride to
UFO.
the UFO.
United Fruitcake Organization or something.
What? What the hell?
He even laughs too when he
Yeah.
sees it.
Oh, he doesn't hold back at
No,
all.
he's such a fucking non-ladies man too. She's like, "What, Otto?" Because he's trying to look all fucking cool and shit. And then as soon as he's a fucking asshole to her, she's like, "Hey, you want to get in the back of the car?" It's like, here right now. All right, cool. So yeah, we get to meet her and she introduces the aliens. So we know it's in the Chevy Malibu, but they haven't put it out there to see yet.
Right.
So the plan at the very beginning was to put these type of people on it, Repo Man, things like that, on
Like
finding it instead
finding
of the
it.
cops.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because they don't want any publicity.
Yeah.
And this is where she says this picture is going to be on the front of every newspaper, and it's on the front of the like World Weekly News or the
Yeah.
National Enquirer or whatever.
After he gets
Like next to the Bat Boy.
yes, like after he gets in one time and he just sits down, right?
Yeah.
But shit, I really don't know the amount of time. This must have been months that he was being a repo man or some shit like that.
It seems that way, or at least weeks.
But if it's the dude he's got settled in within 3 days.
No, it couldn't have been 3. Well, and here's why too. Is because that other group, like his ex-girlfriend and the other dude, like they're robbing places. They're not doing that you know what I mean? Like they've kind of built up to the point where like he's like, I think we should settle down and have a baby.
What's cool is
Hey, do some coke. Fuck off.
when they started, they didn't have shit.
No.
Right? And at the very end, they're wearing nice clothes, going to the fucking club, spending money on the right stuff. They're buying champagne because at one point when he steals the deal, he's got 2 bottles of champagne.
That's right.
That's when Archie runs into the pole. It's like right in the schnutz. That dude played an asshole in Howard the Duck too, but he's been on a lot of stuff. But you see him progress, and he's like, maybe we should settle down.
Yeah.
I want you to have my baby.
Why? That's what she says too. Why? I don't know. That's
what you're
people
supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I just love it. Let's go do some crimes.
Yeah, and then she like hands him some speed.
Yeah.
He does that, and he's like, let's go get this job done.
Yes.
Let's go do this job.
After Archie gets fucking fried too, because the car gets stolen eventually.
Yeah.
You know, the Rodriguez brothers get them first.
Yeah, he goes. So he gets to L.A. The driver of the Impala, the lobotomized scientist or whatever he is. And what's he get out to do? Like he's gone for a minute. Maybe use the bathroom. He's at a gas station.
He goes
throw up because
he
he's got radiation poisoning. Obviously.
Yeah.
He's at the gas station. That's where it was.
Yeah, he goes to the gas station and Kevin's working there.
Yeah, Kevin's like,
vacuum?
Vacuum? Vacuum? Dude, that dude is such a Napoleon Dynamite. That's why I got the name mixed up, because I'm like, he is that character. It's like Napoleon Dynamite is that guy.
For real, dude.
It
For
really
real.
is.
He looks like it.
He acts
everything.
like it. Yes.
He's like, anything for you, babe. But the way that, the literal way that they trick him is funny. It's like, hey, man, you remember me. I was here yesterday.
I left my matchbooks.
I left a book of matches in there. That fucking bamboozled him, got him. It was a booty trap. You
And
know
he
what
came
I mean?
back with it?
Yeah, and he's like, oh. So yeah. I mean, he eventually gets out of that car, and it's in the way he like spiders out of the fucking car while he's getting gassed too.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets over there, and you can hear him just throwing up. And he's like, "You want me to check the trunk?"
Yeah.
And then the Rodriguez brothers
Brothers
come, steal it. And then I don't understand why they just didn't take it someplace. You know,
I don't think they knew where to take it yet.
Yeah.
I think they just got the APB on like,
yeah,
this is the car.
they got that because who gave it to Bud? He was standing outside screaming at him from the street, and he's like, I got all fucking night, fucking Repo Man, all fucking day, and it was like a crumpled up piece fell down there.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
like $20,000. It was an airplane.
well, it was those robber dudes, right? It was wasn't those the three that were in there?
No. It was the Rodriguez brothers, right?
I thought that girl was in there.
And the woman too.
Okay.
The freedom fighters. Yeah.
Yeah,
All three of them.
yeah.
They ended up being the freedom fighters
Right.
because they're like, what's in the trunk? It better not be drugs. And they're smoking weed. And their mom's looking over, you know.
That's
it's like,
right.
we don't do drugs.
That's right.
But they're smoking some weed and shit.
That's because
right?
weed's not a drug.
Yeah. It is a plant.
And weed, I don't use your slave
It
vernacular.
it is a mind-
cannabis, my friend.
Cannabis is a mind flavor enhancer. It is.
And it is not marijuana. Marijuana was the term that was put on it to make it bad and actually associated with Mexicans.
M and J.
There's a whole big story about it. I read about it. It's not good.
Well, anyway.
So it's cannabis.
I don't know if it was.
So they were smoking cannabis and
Smoking
not
weed.
doing drugs.
But like, who threw the airplane to him?
I don't know.
It must have been Marlene.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of get the interaction with Papali or whatnot, the other Otto.
Yeah, why are there multiple people named Otto? In
Right,
this?
right,
'Cause
right.
How
That's-
often does that happen?
Well, we also get the plate of shrimp deal,
Yeah.
which is I mean, whenever he says it, you're like, holy fuck, that happens all the time. The first time you really watch it, you're like, oh, he is like totally right. But he's like sitting there burning. He's like, you know, everything's like a lattice work, you know, on
Yeah.
top of each other, leads to other things. He's like, here, let me give you an example. You're thinking about something.
We're
You're
talking
thinking
about light.
plate.
Yeah, just so
thinking about
everybody said.
shrimp. Thinking about, you know,
And they're just doing this while he's burning stuff.
yeah, he's got his still underneath the overpass, and they're
Yeah.
burning personal belongings.
Yeah.
From the cars that they're,
He's
I
like,
guess, gonna
so
sell.
you're thinking about shrimp. It's
Yeah.
something, right?
Like it's like you're thinking about plate, and then plate of shrimp, and then all of a sudden somebody mentions plate of shrimp. It's that connection.
Yeah, yeah.
That's whenever the Rodriguez brothers gets theirs fucking taken. So
Right.
there's a coincidence because those that's whenever they steal the cookie and they're running that way, right?
Right.
So I mean that whole moment that he was down there, just kind of like aliens are everywhere. What if you had a UFO? I don't drive. I do my best thinking on the bus, you know.
Well, and he leaves a message or tells the girl over the phone, hey, like that something about that car
Yeah.
came up because she had mentioned something about an Impala.
Right. Or the Malibu.
Malibu,
Yeah.
sorry. Not
Yeah.
Impala. But so when he goes to visit her, and he just like starts taking his clothes off right away. She's like, I'm at work.
Please give me a blowjob.
What a dick.
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking asshole.
And she's kind of a dick too because she sets him up.
yeah,
but
then she slaps him twice.
yeah, and he just laughs. He doesn't even care.
He goes to the United Fruitcake Organization.
I love it though. I love it. He's like this whole movie. Like Emilio Estevez's character is just laughing
Yeah.
through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like you would when you were an 18-year-old punk and all this crazy shit's
Yeah.
happening. You're just like, fuck this, let's go.
Yeah. Sounds cool to me, man.
Be cooler if you did.
Be a lot cooler if you did, man. And I mean, it's so fucking weird, and he's such an asshole. Yeah, well, you know, after they beat up his old supermarket manager, then they run into the Rodriguez brothers again while they're
Yeah.
all drinking and driving.
Yeah, yeah.
And
and Henry Dean Stanton's gonna fight him, dude. Like he has to be held back
I know, with a baseball bat.
by like
and shit.
4 people, and he's the
little guy.
skinniest one out of all of them.
Because the Napoleon dude's like, get the fuck out of the car. Come on. And so he does. And then he's like,
Because they like finally get around him and cut him off.
he's like, hey, how's your neck, Napoleon? He's like, oh, yeah. So you got insurance, motherfucker? I mean, he uses that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was the insurance defense technique.
That's right.
I love it.
Slap on the brace.
That was the defense technique.
got the whiplash.
Corporate. Strong. So Bud gets he gets a summons or something like that.
Because they're gonna take him to jail.
Yeah.
They're suing him basically.
Yeah, for damages and shit. And he's like, "Why did you accept it?" He's like, "You don't have to. Why did you sign for it?"
And he ends up losing his job.
Yeah, and losing his mind too.
Yeah.
It kind of goes a little.
And job and.
Yeah, he's kind of fucked it. He's like, "You're fired. Get the fuck out of here. Don't."
But weren't they all with him?
Yep.
I guess just because he was driving. I don't know.
Well,
driving,
and he was so aggro. I guess
totally.
And so little. I mean, he even tells him to in the station wherever they were at. I was like, "Oh yeah, I was there. Remember?" The rent-a-cop wasn't, and the rent-a-cop's over there like knitting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Harry Dean Stanton walks out, and after you hear the door shut, he's like, he's like, "Shut the fuck up." It's like he's like, "I want to be a big chicken man." That's his fucking. He's like, "You want to be a hero? I don't want to be a hero. I want to be a chicken man." What?
I love when those brothers are in the car and you're like, "No, man, it's hot in here." And there he goes, "This car's hot." And he's like, you can tell you don't know what's being said on the other side, but you're like, "No shit. You just, of course it's stolen."
That's yeah. And
no, man, it's hot.
Because whenever he's calling Marlene. He's like, "Hey, we got it." He's like, "Go get us a couple of Cokes."
And I love like the car gets taken and they're just like, he just hands him the Coke and he's like, "Yeah, let's drink these Cokes.
Yeah.
What the fuck else are you going to do?"
They were
right
so
now?
hot anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, "No, this car is seriously hot. It's like warm." Open the fucking windows, dude.
Don't open the trunk.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, home dude's going around. That's when, the other guy, like 2 blocks away, is like, "Hey, this is my car. I thought this was mine.
Yeah.
It looks just like it." It's so fucking crazy. And then he tricks him into opening the trunk. You know? Yeah. Then, I mean, eventually Otto sees him again while he's driving over the bridge, right? Mm-hmm. He sees the Malibu, and then all of a sudden the Malibu's underneath him after he throws up from running.
Yeah.
It didn't look like he was running that far, but yeah, he had to vomit.
No good cardio.
Yeah. And he threw up on it.
I would think all that moshing.
Right. Built up some sort of stamina. So he eventually catches up with him and he opens the door for him. He's like, "Hey, have you ever felt your mind unraveling?" It's like, "Oh, it's a nice old car."
He's like, "No."
Yeah, he tries to
good.
Okay. Yeah, but and then he's like, "Nothing's wrong. I'll drive." Wait a minute. Something is wrong. And then Otto just fucking leaves him. Savage, man.
Yeah, like leaves him right on the park bench.
Yeah.
Sets him all up.
Right. Well, even that one point, that's when he first saw the Malibu down there. There was a homeless guy sitting on the pavement because he was walking. He was doing this little like, because he got out of the car because Bud was being a dick.
Right.
Bud was pissing him off. So he's walking down the streets and there's a bum or a homeless guy that's pointing at the Malibu.
Right.
Literally just like pointing at it and looking at him. And he's like, "Oh shit." That's when he started running after it. And then he eventually got in it. But even before that too, like right before that, the old dude almost dies because he almost gets hit by the deal because he's on a scrambler.
Yeah.
In a phone booth. It was across the street from the other phone booth.
As you do.
Yeah. And they ran it over with that fucking government issued vehicle, but those guys are like trapped in there, the blondies, the blonde men in blacks.
My favorite is the culmination shootout
What the fuck?
What the fuck just happened here?
Yeah, everything like goes to shit because, I mean, the car is eventually taken. You know, Bud is eventually like in the hospital. They go in there. They're going to because he gets caught by the men in black and gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
Lila, she's the one that's actually throwing the switch, just like in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. So the freedom fighters come in and they're like, "Oh, it's all part of the plan."
Yeah.
You know, and she says something like, "Look at all their high heels and guns, high heels and belts," or some shit like that. I was like, "What the fuck?" So they get busted right there.
Yeah.
You know, but eventually it all leads back to the yard.
Yep.
And that's when the car is glowing. And that one dude sitting on the back of the ambulance, he's totally cool. He's like, "I fucking love this job." He's like, critical mass, uploading. He's like, "Hey, have you ever read that book, Dianetics?"
No, it's
Diuretics. Yeah, diuretics. He's like, "Huh, no. Actually, you know, that's that whole L. Ron Hubbard fucking thing throughout the whole deal. It's like a book is going to change your life."
Dianetics cure you much better than Krishna. Dianetics cure you much better indeed.
They just got a big blow with that Denny Masters and shit.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that.
Because, well,
we'll
talk off mic.
Not about this.
So, old home dude's dead. Fucking
old home dude's dead.
Yeah, because they burn him too. The scientist guy.
Yeah.
They burn him. And Otto locks everything up, but he locks it up in like the shittiest way too. He doesn't put the chain around like the bar.
Yeah.
He puts it around the link.
Well, it doesn't matter because they just cut it anyway.
Well, they cut the thinnest part.
Yeah.
You could break that with your hand.
You could just cut the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. Just cut the fucking chain, man.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, who was it that stole it, you know? But that's why they're torturing him. They end up fucking freedom fighting their way out.
He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah. I don't know where it's at. And then eventually they end up back at the yard again where everybody's, the car is fucking glowing. Yeah. But the only dude that knows the truth is Miller. And he's like, "Huh." And you know he doesn't drive, but he slides in from the passenger side he's like, "Hey," after Harry Dean Stanton gets fucking shot in the stomach.
Was it in the stomach or the ear?
He gets shot in the ear.
That's earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he's fighting like...
That's why he's in the hospital.
That's the culmination piece, right? That's the part where they go in while the old crew, his friend and his ex-girlfriend, who I don't remember their names, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're going to rob the place, but Harry Dean Stanton and Otto are in there already.
Right. And they're arguing and shit like that.
And then so... the dude that slept with his girlfriend shoots Harry Dean Stanton in the ear.
Yeah. And they show the ketchup because he knocks into it.
Yeah.
Because the rent-a-cop.
And he's got but Harry Dean Stanton, hold on. Yeah. Harry Dean Stanton. So then there's the convenience store earthquake guy that's behind there.
Yeah.
That's his name, Earthquake. I saw it in the things. Yeah. I don't know if he was like the wrestler Earthquake.
Well,
but he's a big dude. I get it.
It starts with the rent-a-cop getting shot, right? And then Harry Dean Stanton gets it in the ear.
Yeah.
And then
Otto's over here by the like drink still.
Yeah, he's ducked down.
The girl,
yeah,
his ex-girlfriend comes in. The dude behind the counter shoots the friend who boned the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
God, I should really
Archie shoots Archie.
She shoots the convenience store dude, and then the last people left are Otto and his ex-girlfriend that was boning his buddy. And like she's got a gun drawn on him.
She's like, "Hey." Well, it's weird too because Bud's got a gun. He said he didn't have a gun before.
But he did.
But he has a gun.
Yeah.
You know, so...
He'd be lying.
Yeah. So that's why he's in the hospital.
That's the fourth tenet of the Repo Man code. Always lie.
Always lie. So, yeah, and that's why he's in jail. That's why they got to go.
Yeah.
He eventually... They all catch him, and they eventually go up to his room. And they're like, because I don't have the car. Where is it? You know?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, he's got it." And they go over there and it's empty. So then they show him just sitting in the yard, just like, what the fuck, right? Looking at this glowing car.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, right? After Otto gets in, that's when it starts lifting, right? So
yeah, because he's like, well, he's just standing there. Everybody's looking at it, and he's like, he's the the prophet.
Yeah.
He gets up and he just goes and gets in.
Yeah.
And then he's like, come on.
Yeah.
Because the auto stops him. He's like, I thought you didn't know how to drive.
Yeah.
But
But
he's
it's
like,
yeah.
beckons him with 2 fingers.
I mean, literally, people were catching on fire from
Yeah.
getting like zapped. It's like,
Yeah, because they kept sending those like government people or whatever over, and they're like getting zapped up and shot back. But the Light's character, nothing bothers him. Nothing bothers Otto.
He eventually gives Harry Dean Stanton a cigarette.
That's right. That's right.
He's like, "Here you go, brother."
And then they fly off,
Then they fly off and
zip around the city.
yeah,
They don't go anywhere in particular. They're just zipping around.
no, and it's just kind of like you go with the flow.
Yeah.
You know, there's no message. There's no nothing.
No.
It was just like, hey, we got some money. Let's make it this movie.
Yeah.
It's fucking really cool. Like everything works out, and it was a bloody ending too.
Yeah, for sure.
But they didn't really show a lot of blood. They didn't have to.
No. Inferred.
Yeah, I know. After it came out, they did a TV cut too
Oh, really?
for it, and they
That was
hilariously
terrible.
Yeah, they were supposedly hilariously dubbed in additional dialogue for all the cussing and stuff.
Oh.
It was just like Melon Farmer
Yeah,
and shit like that,
yeah.
you know. Yippee-ki-yay,
Yay, Melon Farmer.
Melon Farmer.
There's a couple of those for that one particular I love.
Well, see, and I mean, because they brought it back after like a couple of years of not being out. I guess there was more debate.
Repo Man?
The movie
Yeah.
into the theaters, and they showed it at one more theater in New York or some shit like that for a long time, like 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, afterwards. So, it's movies like this, you know, that you're always going to remember, you know, because it was just fucking good. And I mean, Emilio Estevez, the king of the mid 80s, from 83 to 88. Emilio was a top box office draw.
He was part of the Brat Pack.
Mm-hmm. Rob Lowe ain't got shit on that motherfucker. Who's in Breakfast Club? I mean, our whole lives.
Judd Nelson, come on.
I know. We grew up with these motherfuckers, you know?
And it's weird to think of like the disparity between, you think of like his Breakfast Club character to this character. He was more like a Bender in this, you know?
Yeah. He was totally, but he was more real instead of the suburbanite one.
Yeah.
He's a suburban punk.
Yeah. Well, they were both really suburban punks when you think about it.
Because when his friend gets killed, he's like, oh, he's holding him up. He's like, man, come on. You're a white suburban punk.
Just like me.
Just like me.
Yep.
I like how it's aware of itself too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Is that it, like, if it was trying to come off with any sort of pretense, you'd be like, fuck this movie. You know what I mean? But the way that it's filmed and the way the story's told, and the fact that it is aware of itself, that I think makes it great. Like, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I was surprised to see, like, even Rotten Tomatoes, this is a 98%er, which surprised me a little bit because
The Criterion too.
I just see some of the movies where it's like, how is this only 65%, you know,
Right.
or something like that, or
Knowing how good they are.
and it's not like it's a cookie cutter movie that sometimes those movies make a 98% or a 90 something percent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's definitely its own thing.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
it's
not
a-
a lot like that.
It's a linear art project. This
Yeah.
was not compared to movie wise, movie, old school, crazy, like Gone with the Wind type shit. Sid and Nancy. That's the one that has this huge fucking, or this very insular little look into what this person was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that fucking movie because it is I don't know, it's just a beautiful movie too. A lot of the stuff.
Beautiful,
it was more,
dirty movie.
Yeah, it was advanced.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
And,
Layered.
Yeah, like telephones falling down and shit like that, right? But like this one was a art project. You know, it was a collage art project that he could put his favorite Dreamboard stuff on. You know, I'm just trying to put it in context. But
I think his mission was anti-consumerism,
I don't even
anti-establishment. to some degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a punk rocker.
Yeah,
Man.
for
he
sure.
made a punk rock movie. This is a punk rock movie, if there ever was one, because it is. It's pretty heavy. It could be light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could have everything you want in it. It's a different
And
lifestyle.
it's crazy as fuck.
And I can understand why a lot of people would put it at the top of like must-see list, because that is, like I said, it's a over-exaggerated spotlight in that, but not like pinhole size to where it's locating this whole like scene. It's just like an individual.
I think the one thing that I like about this movie is, like we were talking about earlier, how it's self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're punks, but really we're suburban white kids.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like all those kids when we were growing up that thought they were, I mean, they were white suburban kids, but they thought they were black rappers
Yes.
and gangsters. You know what I mean? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Like rolling in their Impala with,
Yes.
rolling in a big body Benz with $2 worth of gas.
But
You know what I'm saying, though?
but the struggle wasn't real with them.
No, the struggle wasn't real at all.
They were driving
dude.
they were like 87 Jeep Wranglers. You know what I mean? With no
But you know what I'm
tops.
saying?
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah, like all those, again, I just feel like
Our
you always
generation.
see that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, obviously, it's not just our generation. It's just what's popular at the time.
Right.
Or what's popular, because even punk music was popular.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was just,
Everybody knew it.
It was not, it was like but it was subverted of popular music at the time. It was its own monster. It was like early rock and roll.
Right.
You know?
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like edgy, no matter what it is. Like if you're a
Yeah.
gangster rapping, 105-pound white kid with red hair from the suburbs, but you're listening to the Dirty South.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You don't like basketball.
yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you do, but
Yeah.
you're probably not very good at it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because you're 5'11".
You're not. You're NASCAR, buddy.
You're 5'8".
Yeah.
You're 5'8", and the clothes on you are made for someone who is 6 foot somehow.
They don't have to touch your fucking toes, man. Those are basketball shorts.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
very much, I love that it was that, because I feel like you could have made that same movie in like the late 90s, mid 90s, right?
Oh yeah,
But have it
Most-
be the rap
yeah.
kids.
most certainly. Yeah,
You know?
big time.
And some of the rap kids were cool.
After we had the
You
big,
know?
after we had L.A. America for a little while, because remember,
Yeah.
late '80s, early '90s was all L.A.
Sure.
You had the fucking earthquake during
Yeah.
the World Series. You had fucking. There's just so much.
Somebody loved LA. There was a song about it.
There was a lot of shit that was.
I love LA. He loves it. I think that was an 80s song, actually.
It was like there was a lot of focus with the
Yeah,
LA
yeah.
riots
Yeah,
and fucking O.J. Simpson for those.
Lots of
like,
cool stuff happening in LA, like riots and prejudice.
Yeah.
And
Shit's on fire.
Mel Gibson fighting people out in the yard.
Drunk driving. Vampires. No, but it was. I just remember in that time period, just like I said, everything reminds me,
Very California centric.
and 100% reminds me of, if you just look at that movie and then watch Reservoir Dogs afterwards, you're gonna see like the I don't know, the continuation of that style.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's like happening at the same time,
right.
just down the road.
But yeah, exactly. And then I think of Straight to Hell, and I'm thinking, okay, Alex Cox did this one, which really reminds me of the look and the feel, the brownness, just plainness of Reservoir Dogs. It was wrapped in a paper bag, pretty much. And then you have this one, which is pretty much the same fucking thing. It's wrapped in a fucking paper bag in a weird way. The cars are the same almost. It's like they probably filmed around the same kind of locations, I'm thinking.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And I think that that's where you see a lot in Tarantino's movies, that he gets a lot of his locations from old
Yeah.
movies. You know what I mean?
Even the cop cars that the agents had, those are like supposedly like badass fucking cars. They would go
Sure.
0 to 60 in 7 seconds or some shit, something fucking stupid because they
Right.
had like a 401 in them or something. But you notice those Plymouths and those Dodges, like when Mr. Orange gets shot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all right there. It could have been right around the corner. You know, but then also he takes the fucking, he loved the way that the shit hits you, you know, the
Right.
light from the trunk. Straight to Hell was like, it was these guys that were like the Reservoir Dogs. You know what I mean? It was a group of fucking criminals together. Because shit, wasn't Dennis Hopper in that? I don't know. But they were in this weird Western town. So it was kind of like he grabbed what he wanted. You know,
It was Dick Rude and Joe Strummer, Cy Richardson, and Courtney Love.
Mm-hmm. See?
And Straight to Hell.
See? Courtney Love fucking crazy in that movie too.
Courtney Love's crazy in life.
Yeah.
Um,
But it was just, if you watch it,
Yeah.
you get to see it. Like Cy Richardson has, you know, the black attire, like the Steve McQueen, you know,
Sure.
getaway type shit, skinny tie, stuff like that, right? Strummer, close to that. You know, it's so cool to think that they were like right there,
right.
you know, and that's the world that he grew up in. And that's, you know, in kind of like the Repo Man,
Mhm.
you know, punk rock, all that shit. He was a nerd, movie nerd, probably working at the video store when it came out later on.
Probably. Did you see this other movie that he made, Walker?
No, I read a lot about it.
I did too. I think I actually might have to watch this. Interesting story. So it's actually based on a real person. But apparently,
That's right. He got blacklisted after this one. Huh?
But apparently, like for the time period it takes place in, there's a lot of things from our time that are in there, like Zippo lighters, but they do that on purpose, helicopters, things like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that. I will have to get back to you.
Walker, Head, from
Oh yeah.
the Monkees.
Yeah,
There were so many movies that I was coming up with after this. Watching Maximum Overdrive again. Ooh,
Well, there you go. Yeah.
that'd be a good one. I don't know.
Well,
Dead
we
Man.
do have a specific holiday coming up next month. Maybe we could make Maximum Overdrive part of a Halloween movies of some sort.
Deadly Machines.
Hmm.
Because we could use that Chopping Mall.
Haven't we done Shopping Mall?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think so.
Interesting.
But anyway, final thoughts on the movie.
I loved it, man. It was great. Obviously, it's like I said, the biggest way that I think the way that it endeared itself to me, anyways, was that it didn't take itself too serious. There was no pretense. Like
Just
it
go
knew
have
what it
fun.
was,
Yeah.
and it even told you at times exactly what we are. You know what I mean? So I loved it. But like even within that, I found deeper things. Like when we were talking about like that separation when you're young from something that like being totally into whatever it might be, you know, like punk rock in that scene.
Yeah.
And then there's that thing that flips it for you, right?
Mhm.
Well, suddenly now I don't have a girlfriend. My best friend's boning her.
Yeah.
And
Or-
it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't have any money.
Or
And-
pregnancy.
Or, yeah, something.
That's generally.
But you know what I mean? So, like, and having him have that, like, go through that growth, like, within, 3.5 minutes of the movie? Like, you know, with that 3.5 minutes of that movie, like, he went through that pattern.
Yeah.
And he found himself, like, just flat busted down in Baton Rouge and waiting for a train. And
Stuck in a low guy.
went to his parents. Parents were like, we don't have any money. We gave it to God. Or this guy talking for God anyways. So
Yeah.
he's got nothing. So what's he got? Well, he was offered this Repo Man job. So I'm going to go take that. And adventures ensue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a job to
But
get
we've
by.
all done that
Yeah.
in some sort of capacity, right?
Mine was working at Subway and being a driver.
Mine was going to the army.
I worked
It's like,
there.
I'm going to go do army stuff now.
Yeah, I think I did about 6 months' time at Subway
Yeah?
before I got fired for being stoned.
No. At Subway?
It was like,
Was your artistry not up to puff?
it was fucking.
Or
I was
snuff, rather?
I was 100 100% a fucking artist at that shit.
He's a sandwich artist.
Man, I could fucking cut that V like a motherfucker. Because you remember, we used to cut them in V's.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I had an eyebrow ring, and I remember she always used to make me cover it with a Band-Aid, and all they had was neon colored Band-Aids.
You had like a bright orange, a bright green or
Yes,
something?
yes. And my Subway hat on, it would just be sweating because I'm a fat shit. And I was usually hungover, but like I would go pass out flyers on the wrong side of the road and just hang out with my friends, get stoned, come back and be like, I passed out a shitload. I'm going to do some dishes, yo. Like, you don't have to do dishes every day. Pretty soon she caught on. Risa. But no. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
I mean, he had no responsibility except for to himself.
Yeah.
Even at the very end with Lila, she's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Why not?"
You know, that's something we didn't talk about because it's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right here. He's like, gonna go get in the car with Light, and she's like, well, what about you can hear her like, well, what about me? What about us? What about our relationship? And he's like, fuck that. And I'm like, yes, dude, you already got burnt by this other girl. This bitch already set you up once.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like where he's getting she's
Shot.
flipping the fucking switch. You know what I mean? I'm like, thank God. The one time this guy's fucking brain wasn't fucking mesmerized by pussy. You know what I mean? Like every other movie it'd be like, oh, the girl said this. I'm staying. I'm growing as a man.
Because I do remember.
He's like, fuck that.
Yeah,
and gets in the car. I'm like, yes, let's go. You're 18.
Right.
Roll.
And it's just, and maybe that's the whole message. It's just like, fucking take a chance.
Yeah.
Fucking don't get stuck.
Don't get stuck with shit.
Don't get stuck in a
That's part
job.
of it. I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get stuck in a job. Don't get stuck in a relationship. Don't get stuck in anything.
Don't
you
get stuck in
wanna
a
be.
scene.
Right.
Just
Just
that's
like,
another piece of it.
yeah.
in
And
my
just like
opinion.
Miller too. Miller he was the only one that could tame the beast pretty much.
Yeah.
Because he just walked up and was like, huh, that's crazy. Everybody's like, get away. He's like, huh. Well, it's not that bad. So, I mean,
So is there like another portion of this movie that's like maybe a year later?
Well, they made a sequel,
Well, yeah, I never saw it.
Repo Chick.
Yeah, so okay, fuck that.
Well, then
but
they
I'm
had
talking
another
about
one,
with
too.
these two guys, like where they have radiation poisoning and land in maybe outside of Nevada somewhere and like start the hills have eyes people. I don't know. Something.
It's fucking Rick and Morty.
Oh shit. All right then.
Right. It makes perfect fucking sense.
Well, you can make anything make sense within the Rick and Morty universe.
Yeah. But the first episode,
Uh-huh.
what were they doing? They were flying in the fucking flying car over the desert. And he was telling him about a bomb. But yet, look at Miller, the way he looked.
Yeah.
With the jumpsuit and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then look at Morty, and then look at fucking
Emilio
Emilio Estevez, right? You put them in that same... It's fucking Rick and Morty, dude. They had a flying car that was powered by fucking alien technology. You know what I mean? Smartest man in the world is fucking Miller. And he looks like fucking...
Sure.
He does. I mean, you put a lab coat on him, and I bet you he would look
I'm
like
sure.
him
Yeah,
in that
pretty
point.
close.
That's fucking Rick and Morty, dude. That just popped in my head. And I was like,
Well, I would just love to see what happened to him after that. I
That's-
mean, obviously, I would never want them to make a sequel just to make a sequel.
yeah.
But it'd be a cool spin-off comic book or something.
Or
Animated show.
yeah, or you just like believe Rick and Morty is a spin-off of it.
There's that.
They use that green portal gun. I think it works. I'm like enamored with it. But
Write it up.
Yeah, write it up, boy. Print
But yeah, overall, great movie. I would recommend it to everyone.
to everyone.
But as long as you're not looking for something super serious, you know what I mean? Like if you want, like, this isn't for you if you want to watch something like Oppenheimer. You know what I mean? But there's a time and a place for those kind of movies.
Yes,
you know
there
what I
is.
mean?
100%.
And this is not that.
No.
So as
No.
long as we're all on the same page when you go to watch it,
But
it will
that's
be
how-
an enjoyable movie.
That's how you should go into every movie, I think. It's just open.
Yeah, I
Just be like,
agree.
I don't give a shit.
But most people don't, because especially in this weird trailer spoiler world that
want to
we
find
live in.
meaning in everything. Everybody wants to find a meaning in it. At one
And
point,
connectivity.
yeah. At one point,
How does that tie into
Yeah.
What?
But even back then, it was connected in a fucking direct vein into the fucking younger people of the fucking country, right?
Sure.
But yet it was cut off at some point.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It seems like that's what happens to everything. Just like the hippies kind of died out and went straight religious, you know? Went straight fucking to
They
Congress.
went straight religious, or they went straight to cocaine.
Yeah.
And became business people.
Right.
Which is fine, I guess. Whatever you need to do.
Now they're fucking solving hijacking crimes and getting told how great they are, you know? But it's just, I mean, everything about this movie, even the upside down credits, you know, starting at the top, moving down. I always thought that was really cool. I always noticed those things on credits whenever they were different and weird. That was just something that I always liked about this movie, is the music was in the right timbre.
Sure.
Everything was there. It fired everywhere. I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a V12. It was a V12. Shot at Fierro, buddy.
Jesus.
Family. All right, guys. You can catch us on dropculture.com, dropculture podcast at gmail.com, Facebook, Pictogram, X
Gonna give it to you.
What's is Twitter now Tweaker?
No, it's X.
Oh,
X gonna give it to you.
I haven't even been on Twitter in
Which is
years.
I'm not going to get too far into it, but that's exactly what Elon tried to name PayPal. And then everybody kicked him out of being like the CEO over PayPal or being in charge of that. Which is, seems like obsessed with making something X, like SpaceX. I don't know.
He must own a really cool logo.
I think that he probably owns the right to DMX's music.
Ooh.
It's going to give it to you.
All right. On that note, later, dudes.
Peace.